Lesson 8. Mission to the needy. Memory text. And the king will answer and say to them, Assuredly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these my brethren, you did it to me. Matthew chapter 25 verse 40. Jesus consistently showed deep compassion and empathy toward those in need without judgment. He lived a life of selflessness, prioritizing the needs of others above his own comfort and convenience. Jesus didn't just offer words of comfort. He took practical steps to address the physical needs of people. He also met spiritual needs by offering forgiveness, healing, and hope. Jesus engaged with people on a personal level, forming relationships and connecting with them in meaningful ways. He spoke out against injustice and stood up for the marginalized. He welcomed and embraced all people, regardless of their social status, ethnicity, or background. Jesus praised the act of giving, whether it was a small offering or a significant sacrifice. Christians are encouraged to imitate Christ in helping the needy by embodying the principles and values that Jesus demonstrated during his earthly ministry.
The faith of friends. Luke chapter 5 verses 17 to 26 and other Gospels recount an incident involving Jesus and a paralyzed man. Jesus is teaching in a crowded house. Pharisees, teachers of the law, and people from nearby villages have come to listen to him and see miracles. Some men bring a paralyzed man on a mat, seeking to bring him to Jesus for healing. With a large crowd, they can't get through. They climb onto the roof, remove some tiles, and lower the paralyzed man down in front of Jesus. Seeing their faith and determination, Jesus responds by forgiving the man's sins, which causes some controversy among the religious leaders present. Jesus then demonstrates his authority to forgive sins by healing the paralyzed man, who gets up, takes his mat, and praises God. The importance of faith in this story is evident in the actions of the friends who bring the paralyzed man to Jesus. Their faith is demonstrated through their persistence, creativity, and belief that Jesus has the power to heal. Jesus not only acknowledges their faith, but also responds to it by not only healing the man physically, but also forgiving his sins. This story shows that faith often involves action and a willingness to overcome obstacles in order to come closer to Jesus. When our neighbor needs help, are we willing to make extreme efforts that the paralyzed man's friends did?
Christ's method alone. John chapter 5 verses 1 to 9 recounts the story of Jesus healing a man who had been an invalid for 38 years at the pool of Bethesda in Jerusalem. Jesus approached the man in need, showing active engagement and a compassionate heart. Jesus engaged in a conversation, showing an interest in the man's well-being and establishing a personal connection. The man lacked assistance to enter the water. Jesus overcame this barrier by healing him directly. He identified and addressed the obstacles. Jesus instructed him to take up his bed and walk. He not only met immediate needs, but enabled individuals to regain independence and purpose. The location of the healing, near the sheep gate, indicates that Jesus reached out to people in various places, not just in prominent or convenient locations. Jesus was inclusive, reaching out to those in different circumstances and environments. The man did not ask for healing and did not demonstrate faith. Jesus healed him out of grace. Jesus had mercy, recognizing that people may not be able to earn or merit assistance. Mark chapter 1 verses 23 to 28 recounts an incident where Jesus casts out an unclean spirit from a man in a synagogue. The man in the synagogue had a spiritual need with an unclean spirit. Jesus took care of not only physical needs, but also responded to spiritual and emotional needs. Jesus demonstrated authority in addressing the unclean spirit. Jesus relied on spiritual authority and the power of God. Jesus confronted the unclean spirit directly. He was not afraid to confront the root causes of suffering. Jesus silenced the unclean spirit. Jesus avoided negative voices, doubts, and accusations that could hinder his help and healing. The people were amazed at Jesus' authority. Jesus showed us the transformative power of compassion and divine intervention. The healing led to Jesus' fame spreading. Effective ministry can have a ripple effect, inspiring others and spreading the message of hope and healing. Ellen G. White outlined a 5-step process known as Christ's Method Alone in her book, Ministry of Healing. Contact. Jesus began by mingling with people where they were. This step emphasizes the importance of building personal connections and understanding the context of people's lives. Compassion. Jesus demonstrated deep compassion for those he encountered. This step underscores the significance of empathy and a compassionate response to the challenges and pain of others. Ministry. After making contact and expressing compassion, Jesus engaged in acts of ministry. This involved addressing both the physical and spiritual needs of individuals. This step emphasizes the practical application of love and care. Teaching. Jesus used opportunities to teach and share spiritual truths. This step highlights the importance of sharing knowledge and spiritual insights as part of the ministry. Healing. The ultimate goal of Jesus' ministry was to bring about healing and restoration. This step underscores the holistic nature of ministry, aiming to address the entirety of a person's well-being. This model emphasizes the importance of a comprehensive and caring approach to ministry, reflecting the love and compassion exemplified by Jesus.
Refugees and immigrants. Many say Jesus was a refugee when his parents fled to Egypt. He was not a refugee. Joseph, Mary, and Jesus moved to another part of the Roman Empire. They moved away from the jurisdiction of Herod. A family moving from one state in the United States to another because they felt their Christian beliefs were under attack would not be refugees. Are you using the Bible out of context or to score political points? The Old Testament states many things: slavery of migrants, banning of intermarriage, keeping them out of our religious gatherings, or even dictating that they partake. The worshippers of Baal on Mount Carmel were foreigners. Elijah did not tolerate them. Nehemiah did not tolerate foreign wives and families. The Bible is emphatic about helping two kinds of people, widows and orphans. We do have a duty, if we can, to protect the vulnerable. Ancient Israel was a place of laws, as countries today are. We are to follow the laws of the land unless they conflict with the Bible. Churches, working within the laws, are urged to help the vulnerable whenever and however they can. That is our Christian duty. Christians cannot be supporting anything that promotes pagan or false religious beliefs. To do so would be helping to attack Christianity itself. Offering food, clothing, medical care, and housing is certainly part of the Christian mission. We need to be careful as we mix our politics up with Christianity.
To help the hurting. The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because He has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free. Luke chapter 4 verse 18. Jesus references Isaiah as he outlines his mission and purpose. In practical terms, it suggests treating the needy with kindness, empathy, and actively working to alleviate their suffering. This could involve acts of charity, advocacy for social justice, and efforts to address systemic issues that contribute to poverty and oppression. The verse serves as a moral and ethical guide for Christians in how they relate to and serve those who are in need. In the book of Matthew chapter 25 verses 34 to 40, Jesus describes the final judgment and the criteria for entering the kingdom of heaven. This passage depicts a scene where Jesus, referred to as the King, commends those who have shown compassion and kindness to others in need. Jesus identifies himself with the hungry, thirsty stranger, naked, sick, and imprisoned, emphasizing that by caring for these individuals, people are in fact caring for him. The passage highlights the importance of practical acts of love, mercy, and service towards those who are less fortunate, as a reflection of one's commitment to God and His kingdom.
Greater love. John chapter 15 verse 13. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. This verse is part of a larger passage where Jesus is talking to his disciples, emphasizing the importance of love and the sacrificial nature of love. In the broader context of the passage, John chapter 15 verses 9 to 17, Jesus is preparing his disciples for his departure and is instructing them on how to live in love and unity. Jesus is describing the highest form of love, a sacrificial love that goes beyond self-interest. It's a love characterized by putting others' well-being above one's own. The phrase, lay down one's life, suggests a willingness to sacrifice, not necessarily in a literal sense, though it could include that, but more broadly, sacrificing one's interests, time, resources, and even personal desires for the benefit of others. This love is directed towards friends. In a Christian context, this could be understood not only as a reference to personal friends, but also as a call to love one's neighbors, strangers, and even enemies. Practicing love involves serving others and showing compassion. This can be done through acts of kindness, helping those in need, and being sensitive to the struggles and joys of others. Christians are to embrace a self-sacrificial and unconditional love in their relationships with others, reflecting the love that Jesus exemplified through his life and ultimately through his death on the cross. Learn about foreigners or non-Christians who live in your country. JoshuaProject.net is a good place to survey unreached people groups in your culture. Identify someone within your sphere of influence. Begin regularly praying for the person after answering the following questions. Is this person my friend? According to Jesus' model of friendship, do I know the needs of his or her life? How can I lead him or her to Jesus for healing? Thank you for studying with us. Please give us a like and subscribe. Remember to always keep the faith of Jesus.